Hello, good morning. So, I'm just going to make sure this is streaming live. Yay, we're live. Okay, I'm getting very technical. We are multi-streaming, so there may be a little bit of a delay. So bear with me. Morning, guys. I can see the comments coming through already. This will be saved, so don't panic. We will be saving it onto YouTube and our Instagram feed. Now, one thing I will say is because I'm on a streaming platform, I can see all the comments from the different platforms, but I can't see who's writing them. So when you write your comment, just put your name at the end for me so I know who's here with me. So if you are here live, put me a little hello in the comments. Let me know who is here. And if you are catching this on replay, give me a little hashtag replay and let me know. So today is jumped on 10 minutes before work. So today is all about starting a PMU Training Academy. So whether it's something that you think you may go down in the future, or you're kind of sitting on the fence, or you're ready, but you have absolutely no idea where to start, this one is for you. So I'm going to be going through a couple of things that hopefully will help you. And I do have a little special treat for you at the end. So just to let you know what we're going to be covering today, we're going to talk about the considerations. So before you even jump into this, what you need to be considering. We're going to have a little chat about, do you go down the private or the Ofqual regulated route, or do you do both? Starting off with mentoring and masterclasses versus going straight in on full beginner training. I'm going to talk you through, excuse me, I got a lovely little tickle this morning, all of the kind of paperwork and all of the prep that you're going to need to start your academy and get it going. We'll talk about accreditation, pricing, and then a little bit of marketing. Now, if you have any questions at all as I'm going through this, please pop them in the comments, and I will come to as many as I possibly can. I will keep an eye on them as I'm going. So just a little bit about me. For those of you that don't know, I started teaching about 15 years ago. So I've been teaching for about 15 years, not straight into PMU. I originally started teaching spray tanning, and then it was lashes and brows. So I was actually teaching before I even trained in PMU, but in the beauty world. I kind of just fell into training. It was actually a private company that I trained with for spray tanning. They was like the manufacturer trainers. Actually approached me and said, you know, would you be interested in being a trainer for us? They was based up in Scotland. They wanted someone down this way. And that's kind of how I got into it. So I then went and done my petals training, which is now your AET. And kind of went from there. Quickly realized how much I just loved it. I love helping others. I love supporting, and I love sharing knowledge. So it just felt right. And then it kind of just rolled on and on and on. So that's me in a nutshell. Yes, this will be recorded, so you will be able to catch up if you can't make the whole live today. So first of all, what I want to talk about is some considerations. So if you are thinking about getting into training, what do you need to consider? So the first thing I just want to say is, if you are going to get into training, you need to be doing it for the right reasons. Please, please, please don't think that starting up a training academy is going to be quick, easy money, because it's not. Whilst, yes, it can be very financially rewarding, it takes a lot of time, dedication, and you need to be there for the right reasons. You need to be passionate about what you are doing. You need to be passionate about helping and supporting your students, because what you need to remember is it's not just them physical days that they are with you in the academy. You will have ongoing support with students, especially in a treatment like permanent makeup. As you know, as an artist, you learn through experience, you will always continue learning, and you will always need that support as a new kind of artist in the industry. So you need to think about the time aspect when you're thinking about training, and you're working out your pricing and you're thinking, right, I'm going to charge this per day. Just bear in mind that it's not just those days. It will be an ongoing thing. You may have students ringing you at 8 o'clock at night having a meltdown. You want to be on hand to support them. Now, being a good artist doesn't make you a good trainer, unfortunately. You can be the best artist in the world, but you have to have a way of teaching where you can effectively deliver your knowledge and skills and pass them on to others. So again, just because you're a good artist doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be an amazing trainer. It's something that you're going to need to think about. And again, it's going to come down from that passion to help others, because if you don't have it, training might not be for you. You got to just, remember that, especially again in permanent makeup, students will be investing a lot of money, especially if it's fundamental training with you. And if you are there for the wrong reasons, you are not going to be delivering very good training. You're probably not going to get a lot of recommendations, and you will struggle to grow your academy. So that's my first thing, is please, please, please do it for the right reasons. The next thing I want to just touch on is, how experienced are you? You can get hold of all the textbooks in the world and all the manuals in the world. But again, as you know, from permanent makeup, we learn by experience and actually being in the skin. I see a lot of artists that have maybe been qualified for 6 months and then all of a sudden they're teaching. Now, I'm sorry if that is you, but I don't agree with it. I don't think you can teach something that you are not fully experienced in and have the majority of the answers for your students. When I'm carrying out a treatment, I go into detail step by step of what I'm doing. It's a natural born teacher, see? Experience. I would really ideally say you want to have at least 2 to 3 years experience under your belt of working on clients, a lot of clients every single week before you consider teaching permanent makeup. You don't want students coming in and asking you questions and you don't know the answer to, or you can't explain things to them because you've not experienced it yourself. So just be patient. If teaching is something that you want to do, then I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying make sure you have enough experience yourself so that you can pass that on to your students, and it will make better students. So I was teaching before I even trained in permanent makeup. As I said earlier, I was teaching beauty first. Then I'd done permanent makeup. I was maybe, a year and a half into my permanent makeup. And then because people knew me from the beauty industry for teaching, I was then getting messages asking, do I teach PMU? And I actually said no for a long time for this exact reason. I didn't have enough experience under my belt to be able to teach effectively. And it's like now with areola, I get a lot of messages, people asking me, do I teach areola? Because they like my work. But I still won't teach it, even though I trained with Calais before lockdown, I think. But I don't do them week in, week out. And I don't feel like I've experienced enough yet to teach it. So I'm holding off on it. And I just think it's just, if you're going to go into teaching, you need to have morals and you need to do it the right way. You also need to confidently be able to demo on any skin type that you get in your door to your students, because it's not easy getting models anymore for training. And sometimes you don't get the perfect skin type or the ideal model to do a demo on. So you need to, again, it's having that experience to be able to adapt and teach your students why you are adapting things. You need to be able to deliver theory and practical knowledge in a variety of ways, because different people have different learning needs, different learning styles. So it's about accommodating all of the different learning styles into your teaching. If you haven't done your AET yet, this is the sort of stuff you'll learn, which we will come on to. Now, please don't let me put you off doing it. I just like to, I just like to be upfront and realistic with things. Now, if you decide, yep, this is me, I want to go into teaching, I do have a little checklist on PMU downloads, a little checklist of things to run through for starting your academy. I think it's normally about $2.99, but I have got a code for you. So if you want it for free, you can download it for free, and it will just help you kind of get started and know that you've covered everything. So I will give you the coupon code to that in a little while. Now, one thing you can do, which is actually what I done with permanent makeup, was I started off by mentoring, just one-to-one mentoring. I already had my teaching qualifications, but rather than go straight in and put all of that time and effort into setting up beginner training, I wanted to see how I dealt with teaching permanent makeup, because I felt that for me as a trainer, it held a lot more responsibility than, say, teaching spray tanning or eyelashes. If someone puts eyelashes on wrong, you can just remove them, take them off. Not so easy when your student messes up with permanent makeup. So I started off with mentoring, and it's a really nice way to get your foot in the door, just one-to-one mentoring. It doesn't need to be accredited because your students will already be qualified. They may be reaching out to you for like a little masterclass day, or they want to come and learn your technique with you. So it's a really nice low pressure way of getting your foot in the door if you're not there, if you've not got your beginner training set up yet. Now, I would still recommend getting your qualifications before you go into mentoring, because again, it's understanding how you're delivering this knowledge and experience of yours and passing it on and implementing it with your students. You don't actually need any teaching qualifications to do mentoring, but I would recommend it because you still want to make sure that you are teaching well. Now, when it comes onto your qualifications, if you are going to teach just privately accredited training, so this can be complete beginner training and masterclasses, but it's privately accredited. It's not an Ofqual regulated qualification or a nationally recognised qualification. You will need your AET, which is your award in education and training. When you do your AET, the one thing I would definitely make sure is that it's an Ofqual regulated AET course, because your teaching course should be a nationally recognised qualification. And if you do go on to do Ofqual regulated training yourself, you're going to need to have an Ofqual regulated teaching qualification. There's a lot of private teaching qualifications out there now, which are privately accredited. But just remember that a privately accredited teaching qualification, teaching certificate is not actually a nationally recognised qualification. So just get an Ofqual regulated AET 100%. If you decide that you want to teach Ofqual regulated, so that we teach the level 4, the VTCT level 4s, predominantly because I am in a London borough and a lot of London students need the level 4. So I wouldn't want to give someone a certificate that they can't then go and get a license with. So if you want to go down that route, you would also need to have your assessor's award. So just be aware of that. Your AET will get you set up as a trainer, and you can go and start offering privately accredited courses. Then you'd need to work towards your assessor's award to be able deliver Ofqual regulated qualifications. There is also the CET, I think it's level 4 CET, which you can do instead of an assessor's award, but the assessor's award is a little bit quicker. Right, let me just quickly have a look at these comments. I was thinking of doing the training course and offering classes to students for other treatments I've done for a lot of years to give me teaching skills before and knowledge before, maybe a good few years down the line, looking to teach in PMU once. Yes, exactly. So if you do offer beauty as well and you want to get into teaching, it could be a great way to get your teaching up and running and then add in your PMU as you become more experienced in PMU, which is pretty much what I've done. Would you say it's best to go to college to do the teaching course? You don't need to go to college. You can still do like an Ofqual regulated AET privately. It's not something that I ever went into teaching, but I've done my AET at a private kind of beauty academy up the road to me. So yeah, you don't actually have to go to school. And to be fair, you can even do a lot of it as home learning, but then you just have to do your micro teach. So you have to be assessed delivering like a 20-minute presentation, teaching anything of your choice generally. But a lot of it is just assignments, paperwork, kind of knowledge based. Now, the difference between setting up a private training academy versus offering the Ofqual regulated qualifications like becoming a VTCT centre or qualify, ProQual, City and Guilds. There's quite a few now that do level 4 permanent makeup courses. When you are a private training academy and you're delivering privately accredited courses, you need to be aware that what you are offering is a certificate of achievement. It's not a qualification. However, other than London boroughs at the minute, most councils will still accept that as fine for licensing and insurance companies. As long as your course is accredited, insurance companies will cover it for your students. You have a lot more freedom with privately accredited training courses with terms of what you deliver, how you deliver it. There's a lot less paperwork with privately accredited training, a lot less overheads for you as a trainer. The only downside, as I say, is it's not a nationally recognised qualification and it's not accepted generally in London boroughs at the minute in the UK. But we believe that it will eventually roll out across the UK. Will it become mandatory? I still couldn't say for sure, but I have, as you know, we're very much focusing on safety in the industry this year, and I've spoken to a lot of councils across the UK since January. I think July we may see an update as to whether or not this is rolling out for us. I know there's a lot of aesthetic updates coming in July, but there are a lot of councils hopeful that come 2024, 2025, level 4 will start to be enforced outside of London boroughs. So just something for you to consider if you are going to start teaching, you may have to do Ofqual regulated eventually anyway. I'm doing my AET at the minute and oh my God, it's so hard, the amount of essays you have to do. I'm doing it with Big Teacher. Can you recommend a good way to get through it? I would say with all of the essays, I know they are long-winded. Don't try and do too much in one go. I done that. I tried to sit down for like 3 days solid and just work my way through it, and it didn't work. I guess it's going to depend on what type of student you are, what type of learner you are. But I used to chip away at it. So I would do that question a day and then put it away again because I get overwhelmed quite easily. So try and break it down into smaller bits and just take a question, answer it, do the next one tomorrow. It is a lot of, it is a big old essay to do. But it's important, and you'll be surprised how much from your AET that you do actually implement as a trainer. So if you, oh, this cough is driving me nuts. If you do go down the off-qual route, you would need your assessor's award as well as your AET. You would then need to apply to become a centre, depending on what awarding body you're going to go with. So like for us, we're a VTCT centre. That's who I went with. Again, it's quite a big, long process, a lot more paperwork, fees as well. You've got to find an IQA, internal quality assurer, and then you will be allocated an EQA, which is an external quality assurance. You have certificate fees from Ofqual regulated. So like we paid to become a VTCT centre, I pay for an IQA who has to internally check my assessments on my students. And then we have to pay VTCT a fee for every certificate that we issue. There is a lot more paperwork involved. Learners have to do assignments. There is a framework that your learner must demonstrate and deliver to an expected standard. The reason I like Ofqual regulated qualifications is because there is a minimum standard that students have to meet. You know, you have to deliver theory, health and safety, laws and legislations, bloodborne pathogens, all of that important theory that goes into being a permanent makeup artist and being able to work safely. You have to do it. Otherwise, you can't sign that student off because you're being checked by 2 other people, which are outside of your academy. With a private accredited course, I can pretty much teach you whatever I want and leave out whatever I want. Now, if you're a good trainer, you're not going to do that anyway, because we do private training as well as Ofqual regulated training. But actually, my courses are the same. They are all delivered to the same standard. It's just whether or not my student wants to go down the level 4 route or not. But unfortunately, there are trainers out there that do deliver bare minimum. Trainers that don't cover theory. Trainers that are not teaching health and safety. They're not teaching cross-contamination, bloodborne pathogens, even how to wrap your machine. You know, like the basic minimum that should always be delivered in a course. It's not, unfortunately, yet these courses are still being accredited and insured. So this is why I'm quite pro level 4 regulations coming in, because something needs to be done basically to try and regulate this industry a little bit, and it's a start. Is it amazing? No. Can the level 4 qualification still be improved? Yes, but I believe it's a start. Just my micro teach to go. Yay, well done. And with the micro teach, when you do your micro teach, don't overthink this again. Like, don't complicate it. You can deliver something so simple. I remember, I'll never forget when I done my petals course and I rang up my assessor and I was like, oh my God, you know, I don't know what to do. I can't fit any topic into this tiny gap that I've got to deliver. And do you know what she said to me? She went, do you know how to make a paper aeroplane? I was like, yeah. She went, there you go. Do that. Teach me how to make a paper aeroplane. Like, completely irrelevant to anything that I'd ever be teaching. But she just simplified it and took all of that confusion and overwhelm and overthinking away for me. So remember, it can be about absolutely anything. It's more about how you deliver those instructions. So that's private versus off-qual. Hopefully that makes sense. You may want to start with a private training academy and then move on to an off-qual regulated at a later date if you wanted to go down that route or you needed to. Again, it's going to depend on where you're located. For me, being in a London borough, it didn't make sense for me not to offer it because most students needed it. I'm not going to lie, it's a ball ache and it takes a lot of patience setting it up. But once you've done it, and then you never have to revisit that part again. Okay, so mentoring versus beginners, we've kind of touched on already. Starting with mentoring or masterclasses can give you a really good feel on teaching permanent makeup. See if you enjoy it and start building your teaching experience before moving on to beginner training. Beginner training, I feel, is much harder. There's a lot more pressure on you as a trainer, but at the same time, it can also be very, very rewarding, especially when you watch your students grow, and you've took them from scratch and they become these absolutely amazing artists. It's very rewarding for you as a trainer to see. So when if you decide to start your beginners training academy, you're going to need quite a bit of time set aside to start your planning, prepping, and getting all of your paperwork together. Don't put too much pressure on this, because what you'll find is the more courses you deliver, the more you start tweaking your material. My manuals have changed so much over the years. My schema works and my lesson plans have changed so much over the years. I've completely rejigged days and length of courses, and I've done spacing it out. I've done it intense in like 1 week. And you have to you get that experience as a trainer. You see how your students deal with things, and then you start adapting again to suit them. So, some little things that you are going to need to do, or need to start thinking about and preparing. First off is your training manuals. We have 2 training manuals in my academy. We have our health and safety manual and we have our practical theory manual. So health and safety manual is going to include things like health and safety, laws, legislations you may want to put in there, bloodborne pathogens, stuff about waste removal, having your Hep B vaccine, licensing, medical contraindications you could even put in this one. And then when I do my practical theory manual, it's more about actual treatment theory. So colour theory, needle theory, skin anatomy, techniques, consultations, pre and post care, documenting things, how to take pictures, troubleshooting, things like that. So I used to have it all in one great big manual, and then it's quite overwhelming. It's a pretty big manual. So we separated it. We give them one to focus on at a time, just reducing a little bit of overwhelm. So manuals. I was going to say something then, but my mind's just gone blank. Written assignments. Will you give your students written assignments to do, or how will you test their knowledge, or how will you test that they are doing their theory learning? Because again, it's not just about creating amazing artists. We need to make sure that our artists understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, and obviously they understand the safety side and working correctly side of things. So what we done was we set up our pre-learning online. So once a student has paid 50% of their booking, they get access to our e-learning, and they have, I think it was about 45 hours worth of pre-learning to do before they even step foot in the academy. And this is giving them time to learn and digest all of that theory before coming in. And what that then does is it maximizes your hands-on time together. So when they're here with us in the clinic, we're doing practical work. We are working on their techniques, their skill, and obviously models. So it's definitely, I would definitely recommend, if you are going to go down that route, is to look at like an online portal or something that you can deliver theory to prior. It just gives your student more time to work through things and start digesting stuff. Because again, as an artist, there is a whole lot of information to take in, and there's so much to learn. And as a beginner, it can be so overwhelming. So the more you can reduce that, the better. You can look at things like Teachables, Kajabi. There's another one, isn't there? Teachables, Kajabi, and there's one more that are quite popular, kind of easy to do platforms. You can just literally do a video and you can upload it and put all your text on yourself. You don't even need to pay someone to do that. So, but I definitely would put the time into putting that together. Other things you're going to need to think about is like your course prospectus, your price lists, your learner handbook. It's quite good to set standards with your students before they even come into the academy. So what should they be expecting from you as their trainer, and what should you be expecting from them as a student? Like, we was quite strict with our beginner students. They had deadlines to meet on e-learning before they even came into the academy. And if they didn't meet them deadlines or didn't put in the practice that they had to do at home, they wasn't working on models when they came in. Because for us, we have a responsibility to models as well. You know, I need to make sure that student is ready to work on a model before we start tattooing someone's face. So just get clear on all of that before, so that your student is clear on what is expected of them. You're also going to need to think about forms for your students to use. So you probably should be supplying your students with things like consultation forms, treatment plans, patch test forms, pre and post care leaflets, all of the stuff you use as an artist in your business. You should really supply that to your students to get them set up. And then you want to think about handouts. You know, what kind of learning material are you going to do? What activities will you do to kind of help that theory come together before we actually get on to tattooing? That could be things like colour swatching. So we give them colour swatch sheets and we do swatching together. You can do like paint mixing. Drop in your pigments into the test tubes to watch the colours and look at the different variations. Identifying cool versus neutral versus warm pigments. A lot of theory, there is a lot of colour theory. We try not to over complicate it and keep things as simple as possible to start artists with. What you also need to remember is when you're teaching beginner students, you can't teach them everything in one course because you will just confuse the life out of them. So you need to be teaching the fundamentals, the important bits, and what's going to help them understand what they're doing in their treatments and why they're using them things. I will then always say to my students, don't ever expect this to be your one and only course if you want to be a good artist. There is still so much more for you to learn and know, but you just can't do it all in one go. Then other things for the training academy that you're going to need to think about is like terms and conditions. You need watertight terms and conditions for student bookings. Decide on cancellation periods and refunds, and have all of that printed and signed. Training confirmations, invoices, oh dear, all of that side of it. What are you, when you need to think about that student's journey. So when a student decides, right, she's going to book with you, what does she get? What are you sending her? So there's lots of kind of paperwork and stuff to think about. Now, we do have most of this done for you over on PMU Downloads. We launched our trainer edition because I remember how time consuming it was putting all of this together and then editing it as my courses went on and thinking, okay, we don't have that in our terms and conditions, or we don't have that on our confirmation, and changing. So my final drafts are all there on PMU Downloads should you want them. Accreditation. Once you've got your training courses set up and ready to go, you're going to need to get them accredited so that your student can then go and get insurance. There are lots of accreditations now out there that you can go to. CPD are quite a big one. Professional Beauty Director, my favourite. If you're in the UK, I absolutely love Pro Beauty. Insurance and accreditation They are so helpful, so straight to the point, and they have good standards and criteria. You also need to think about prerequisites as well. Just talking on that quickly is, will you take on students that have no will you have prerequisites or not? So will you take on a student, for example, that has come out of an office straight into PMU, or will you require that they have other qualifications prior? I know with professional beauty, for them to accredit your course and ensure your students, your learner would also need to have a level 3 in A&P or beauty. Or you could look at someone like InSync, for instance. I think they will insure you without any prerequisites. So if it changes between insurance companies and accrediting bodies, you'd need to check that out with them and decide what you want for your academy. If you do Ofqual level 4 training, they do have a prerequisite that students must have a minimum of a level 3 before going on to their level 4. So then you also would need to think about, are you going to offer that level 3 for those students that need it? So we offer the level 3 anatomy and physiology qualification. Again, just because if my student needs a level 4, I need to be able to get her to that level 4. When you submit your documents for accreditation, it's very annoying. Generally, what they will ask for is copies of your manuals, your lesson plans, schema works. They'll probably want to see your qualifications, so your actual tattooing qualifications and your teaching qualifications. And then insurance as well, sometimes they will ask to see. So just bear in mind that you will also need teaching insurance. So you'll have your artist insurance that you have anyway, and then you're going to need to bolt on a teaching insurance. One thing with teaching insurance is make sure you know whether it covers your students for case studies or not. So whilst they're here with you, they're covered. And then a lot of insurances, once that student leaves your premises to go away and do case studies, they're no longer insured under your policy. So then you'd need to advise your student to now take out their own policy. Did I give you that cough, Soz? I don't even know who this is. That you, Luce? I can see the comments, but it doesn't always give me names because I'm on this streaming software. So you have to tell me who you are if you're commenting to me. So does anyone have any questions on any of that so far? It's me. This is the most annoying cough ever. It will not go. So if you have any questions on any of that so far, let me know. I know I've kind of just gone blah, 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 and run through it all. So then we want to think about pricing. What are you going to price your courses at? Things to consider with your pricing. So first off, pre-learning. Are you going to give them pre-learning? How much is that going to cost you to set up and run monthly? Because a lot of these platforms will have monthly fees. Do some market research. Have a look what trainers are charging in your area, what's included in their courses versus your courses. How many days will your training be over? Will you include final assessment days as well? What post-support are you going to offer your students? Will you do shadow days for students? Are you going to be on hand 24/7 for them? Are you going to give them a limited amount of post-training support? Or is it going to be a lifetime of post-training support? These are all the things you want to start thinking about when you're putting your pricing together. What training kit are you going to offer? How much does that kit cost you? What about models? Are you going to charge models? Are you going to arrange models? Arranging models is very time consuming. We actually pass a fee on to our students. If they can't source their own models and they need us to source them, because it takes a long time sometimes going back and forth with potential models. Then they cancel, then you've got to find another one. There's a lot of admin with it all. So Will you include that in your training fee? Will you price separately for that? How many students will you have to one class? Because that could also influence your pricing. Are you going to rely on having 2, 3, 4 students per course? Or are you solely going to teach one-to-one? The one thing I would say is don't do great big courses, especially not for beginners, if you are teaching on your own, because it's going to be really, really hard when it gets to practical. So I started teaching one-to-one, then I upped it to 2 students per course. And I think a 2-to-1 ratio is max for beginner training. I would never do a class of 4 students on my own for practical, because there's no way you can keep an eye on what every single one of them are doing. And bear in mind, there's going to be times where you're going to need to jump in and help. And then who's watching the other students? So if you get busy, so like we got to a point, we was doing 2 students a class. I literally was getting loads of inquiries. I couldn't fit everybody in. So what I decided to do was then have someone else come in and teach with me. So Claire came. She'd done her AET, an Assessor's Award, got all of her qualifications, and then she became my training partner. So then we would do 4 students, but 2 trainers. So we still had that 2-to-1 ratio, but we had 4 students in on 1 week. So it's a lot of things to think about with your pricing. So I would be thinking, right, what's my day rate? What do I need to earn minimum per day? Even, you know, with overheads and all of that. Then we need to allow for assessment days, because I would recommend they do assessments after their case studies so that you're signing them off knowing that they are going to go out there and do well. Price up your kit. We do quite a big kit in beginner courses. I like to give students everything they need. I don't feel that you should be paying £4,000 for a course and then you've got to go away and spend another £500 on products. So all of our kit is incorporated into our prices. So when they come, they don't need to buy anything. They have all of the essentials and everything they need to go away and do their case studies without spending another penny. There's going to be optional extras if they want, or they want to increase their colour range. But if you teach students how to mix colours, you know, 4 or 5 colours, that's all you need, really. You don't need to go and buy the whole range to start with. Machines. We do actually give quite a nice high quality machine in our kits. What I wouldn't want is to be giving my student a cheap imported rubbish machine that's potentially going to break on them in a couple of months, because that's going to come back on you. So we like to give our students good quality, reliable machines. Everything that I use in my treatments is what I put in my kits. I don't want to be teaching my students one thing and then they watch me demo doing something completely different, because they're going to question why. So that's your pricing. And then last but not least, marketing. Now, there's going to be a whole ton of marketing you can do for your Permanent Makeup Training Academy. What machine would I recommend? So we use the Defender Onyx machine for our students with the critical atom power supply. The Onyx is a lovely machine for beginners. They're small, they're light, they are so reliable, they're good quality, and they're not too high when it comes to stroke length. So I find them really, really nice for beginner students. We used to do the, I think the Zion and then the Valhalla we've tried in kits, but some students find them quite heavy. Whereas with the Onyx, we've never had any kind of complaints on that side of things. So, marketing. Just talking from experience, I would say the best place for you to focus your marketing when it comes to training is going to be Google. Obviously, still put it on your socials, your Instagrams, your Facebooks. But what you need to think of is a potential student looking for training in permanent makeup that probably are not aware of you yet. So it's unlikely that they're going to find you very easily on social media. What would you do if you thought, right, I'm going to start a career in permanent makeup. I need to start researching some trainers. I would go straight to Google. I wouldn't even start on Instagram or Facebook. I would type in permanent makeup training in Essex into Google, and I'd start looking at who comes up. Then I'd go and find them on socials and check out their work. Probably now only go and check out their work because now I know. So it's amazing how many, as a beginner student, you wouldn't even think to look at the trainer's work. But Google, 100% get on Google. You can actually do a lot of organic marketing through Google where you are not paying out fortunes for ads and things. Set up your Google My Business, post on it, keep it active, Google Maps. Just put this mint in my mouth. I hope it stops me coughing. If you are on PMU Circle Pro, we've got a fab module from Anna Peroni on organic Google marketing. Go and watch it. It's on your e-learning. We also have Google My Business one coming up in the next live Zoom series. So across July and August, we have our live Zoom series for pro members, and it's going to be solely focused on marketing. We've got 10 industry experts coming in to deliver you live training through Zoom, and one of them is going to be Google. So stay tuned for those. Be active on forums. I can't tell you how many students I got from Facebook forums, not my business page, not my Instagram, Facebook forums. So like your local forums. And then what starts to happen is people start recommending you on there. Even people that hadn't trained with me was recommending me. But because they just see my name pop up all the time, they just start recommending me. So be active in the forums. Even like the open group, the PMU Circle open group, we get people in there asking for recommendations on training all the time. If you are active in forums and you are seen to be helping and supporting, and you get good feedback and good student reviews, people will happily recommend you. And I honestly believe that the best form of marketing for our industry is recommendation and word of mouth. You cannot beat it. And this is going to come back down to doing a good job, isn't it? Being passionate about what you're doing, actually caring about what you are doing, taking the time on what you are doing, and then everything else just falls into place. So this is just going back to, if you're going to start teaching, do it for the right reasons. Because if you're doing it for the right reasons, it will be successful. I promise you. Get student testimonials. Get reviews. They're great to share as proof. Put them on your website. Put them on your socials. If you don't have a website, you need a website, especially as a training academy. Get someone to work on your SEO for your website. Get found in those Google searches. They would be my top tips. Don't put all of your time just into one social platform for training. They work well, I think, as an artist. But I definitely think Google is the way for trainers. So, that is me. Don't overthink it. Get the ball rolling. I know it's quite a big thing. You're going to be putting a lot of pressure on yourself if you're going to start teaching. But honestly, don't overthink it. Once you get that ball rolling and you get started with it, you will be absolutely fine. I promise. Just as long as you're passionate about it, you'll be fine. So, oh, hang on. Is there any legit companies you would recommend for SEO and Google marketing? So my website guy who builds all my websites, and Circle members will know him, David, he does everything technical for me. He does my SEO. Do you know what I would be really, really skeptical about? Is using an SEO company that works for all permanent makeup artists. Because I don't understand how they can effectively and morally try and get everyone ranked first on Google when you're all in the same industry. So I would say the best thing to do is find someone independent that doesn't work in our industry, because you want somebody that's pushing you to the top, not pushing you and 50 other academies in the UK to the top of Google. So yeah, find someone independent. Now, I've got little discount codes for you. Let's see if I can do this. I'm getting really technical. Oh. So if you wanted to download that free checklist for starting your academy, it'll be a nice little thing for you to print out, get going, start ticking things off. You can go to pmucircle.com. If you click on PMU downloads and then go to view more, it'll take you to the PMU downloads page. It'll be a setting up your academy checklist that you're looking for. I think it's $2.99 or $3.99 plus VAT. Just enter that code, free checklist, and you can have it for free. Get you started. If you want some trainer downloads, so you would like to use the manuals that I've put together, my lesson plans, my scheme of works, my course prospectus, all of my training confirmations, or my ball ache of a learner handbook that took forever to put together. If you want access to any of those, they are available as fully editable downloads on Canva. So you can go straight on. You can rebrand it to your own branding. You can change the logo, put your logo on it. You can reword what you want to reword, take out what you don't want, add in what you do want. But the bulk of the work has been done for you. Now, the premium brow course bundle, trainer edition, is $3.99 plus VAT, and that is everything. That is all my manuals, my lesson plans, scheme of works, handouts, consult forms, treatment plans, learner handbook. Literally all of my training documents are in that bundle for $3.99. I'm going to give you £150 off today if you want them, because it's a little thank you for joining me on this. So you can enter that code, trainer150, on the premium brow bundle. So that's brow manuals, by the way, not lips and liner. It's all just for a brow course. Lips and liners will be coming soon. And it's £150 off with that discount code. This is only valid until Monday morning. So if you want it, you need to do it over the weekend. Same place, pmucircle.com. Click on PMU downloads. And then lastly, what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be launching my virtual one-to-one mentoring soon. And we're going to be doing half day or full day academy startups. So if anyone wants help, one-to-one help, or you want to bat some ideas around with me, I will also soon be doing one-to-one mentoring. So if you are interested in that, just drop me a DM and I'll send you some info over for that one. It's going to be a little bit bespoke to what you kind of want and how much time you want. But that is me. I hope it's helped. I hope it's gave you some food for thought. If it's something that you are on the fence of doing, but honestly, if you are passionate about it, just go for it. because the more you care and the more passionate you are about teaching, the more successful you will be. Just don't let all of that paperwork side of it and start-up side of it put you off, because once it's done, it's done. And then you can just get on to enjoying teaching, sharing your knowledge and your skills. So if anyone else needs anything at all, feel free to jump into my inbox. And I'm more than happy to help or advise wherever I can. And look at that, I said about an hour, 5 minutes short. It weren't bad for me. Normally I ramble on forever and ever. Okay, right, so I'm going to let you get back to enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you're watching replay, let me know in the comments below. And if you are watching on replay and you have any questions, still keep popping them in the comments, because we'll keep coming back and checking. And if I've missed anything, I'll keep replying to them. Very informative, amazing, well done. Thank you for listening. Right, I'll let you go. See you later. Bye-bye.